What if I told you there are real companies where people get paid thousands of dollars to do things so absurd, your brain will reject them? From professional actors who drop to their knees to cry for your boss, to a man who charges $100 an hour just to sit there and do absolutely nothing. Welcome to the wildest business models on earth. Imagine it's a regular Tuesday. It's 8 a.m., and you wake up in your Tokyo apartment with your heart pounding so hard against your ribs it feels like it might burst. Your hands begin to shake. A cold sweat breaks out across your forehead. You check your phone. 15 missed calls from your boss. What happened? Last night, you were supposed to email a crucial $50,000 contract to a major client. But you were so utterly exhausted from working 14-hour days that after a few drinks, you collapsed on your couch and completely blacked out, forgetting the entire thing. In Japan's notoriously brutal corporate culture, this isn't just a simple mistake. It's career suicide. If you walk into the office right now, your boss will scream at you in front of everyone, humiliate you, destroy your reputation, and kick you out the door. In the rest of the world, people in this situation would beg for mercy, make up a clumsy lie, or just quit. But in Japan, there is a wild third option. You sit up in bed, take a deep breath, pick up your phone, and dial a company called Shikaku or Yokoben. On the other end, a calm, deeply respectful, and soothing voice answers, "Good morning, Shikaku Apology Agency. How can we resolve your crisis today?" Yes, you heard that right. You have just called a professional apology agency. You explain your situation. The operator calmly responds, "Don't worry at all. Our in-person dramatic apology scenario was made for this exact crisis. What specific details would you prefer?" The script is finalized. You don't even have to leave your apartment. About 2 hours later, a knock echoes at your boss's office door in downtown Tokyo. A sharply dressed man in his 50s, wearing an immaculate black suit and holding a leather briefcase with a face that looks like he carries the weight of the world on his shoulders, walks in. He introduces himself as your father or your family lawyer. With a trembling, tearful voice, he bows deeply and looks at your terrifying boss. "Sir, please forgive us. It is all my fault. My son had a 104-degree fever last night. He was in such terrible shape that I personally gave him heavy medication and turned off his phone so he could rest. He insisted on sending the contract, but I stopped him. As his father, I deserve the punishment, not him." And then the most dramatic moment occurs. In front of your stunned boss and the entire office, this man bends his waist 180 degrees, drops to both knees, and presses his forehead flat against the cold ceramic floor. In Japanese culture, this extreme bow is called ijiza, the highest level of apology, reserved only for life or death situations. Your boss, completely caught off guard by this tragic scene, panics. Feeling a wave of sympathy, he rushes over, grabs your fake father by the arms, and says, "Sir, please get up. I had no idea your son was ill. I completely understand. Tell him to rest and send the contract tomorrow." Just like that, without even stepping outside your front door, you saved your job, your reputation, and your monthly salary. Now let's rewind. When this concept was first pitched in Japan during the 2000s, management experts and psychologists literally laughed at it. Everyone said, "This is the dumbest, most unethical business idea in history. How can you buy and sell genuine remorse? Nobody will ever pay an actor for a fake apology. These companies will go bankrupt in a month." But the founders of these agencies knew a dirty secret about modern society that no one wanted to admit publicly: the paralyzing fear of shame and direct confrontation. In Japanese culture, saving face is so critical that a single mistake can lead to total social isolation. People were willing to pay whatever it took just to avoid looking someone in the eye and admitting they messed up. These agencies quickly realized they weren't just selling a human shield, they were designing unscripted survival scenarios. They tailored their services based on how catastrophic your mistake actually was. If you just missed a minor deadline, an actor with a tense, highly professional voice calls your boss, claiming to be your family lawyer. But if the disaster is much bigger, like getting caught cheating, a massive family feud, or causing huge financial loss, the strategy completely changes. In those extreme cases, the agency deploys a full cast of actors. The operation runs like a Hollywood film. Actors playing your frail, heartbroken elderly parents, suits acting as high-stakes lawyers, and stage dialogues designed so the furious boss doesn't even get a chance to yell or react. These agencies even run acting and persuasion boot camps for their staff. They train actors how to make their voices crack on command, how to shed real tears, and how to master the exact body language of a deeply remorseful person, so the illusion remains 100% unbreakable. What everyone assumed was a stupid and absurd idea has now turned into a multi-million-dollar industry. As the founder of one agency put it in an interview, "We don't sell lies. We sell panicked people a second chance at life." But if you think acting and fake apologies is the crazy limit, think again. This next story is about a man who realized to get rich, you don't need to work hard. You just need to get paid to do absolutely nothing. In 2018, in one of the busiest, most high-pressure, and modern cities in the world, Tokyo, a 35-year-old man named Shoji Morimoto sat on his small apartment couch, staring blankly at the ceiling. Shoji was thoroughly average. He held a degree in sociology, had worked for years at a publishing company, and watched his life blur into a repetitive loop. But there was one major, nagging problem. He didn't love his job. In fact, he didn't love doing anything traditionally considered productive. Japan's rigid workplace culture, built on backbreaking effort, relentless devotion, and mandatory overtime, had completely drained his soul. His supervisors constantly reprimanded him, saying, "Shoji, you have no drive, you possess no special talents, and your presence in this company is essentially useless." Eventually, Shoji was fired. He sat at home for days, dwelling on his boss's harsh words. But one day, a wild, unprecedented thought struck him. If society thinks I'm useless and good for nothing, what if I package and sell doing absolutely nothing as an actual service? Think about the sheer audacity. In a country where people collapse on train platforms from overwork, and where the word karoshi exists, a man decided to market absolute laziness. Shoji went to work. He created a Twitter account, uploaded a plain photo wearing a baseball cap, and wrote a post that would forever change social media history. "I am offering myself for rent. Here is my service. I do nothing. I cannot cook. I do not clean. I cannot teach languages. I will not carry your groceries. And I offer zero advice or wisdom. I will simply show up, sit beside you, walk with you, and do nothing. You only need to cover my train fare and a simple meal or drink." When Shoji's wife, friends, and family saw the post, they were horrified. His wife assumed he had lost his mind from the stress of being fired. Everyone mocked him, saying, "What person in their right mind would pay money for nothing? You'll be starving in a week and begging for a real job." But what no analyst, sociologist, or investor predicted was about to happen. Shoji's Twitter notifications exploded. Requests flooded in like an unstoppable wave. But who were these clients? And what did they want from a man who promised to be completely useless? The stories that unfolded were hilarious, bizarre, and deeply moving. His very first client was a lonely young woman. She hired Shoji to simply sit across from her at a high-end, luxury restaurant. As Shoji took his seat, she began to cry, saying, "I've wanted to eat here for years, but in our culture, if a woman dines alone in a place like this, everyone stares with pity. I just wanted a human being sitting across from me, so I wouldn't feel ashamed. You don't even have to speak, just eat your food." Another client was a man walking to court to sign his divorce papers. Trembling with fear, anxiety, and total isolation, he paid Shoji to just walk beside him to the courthouse, stand quietly behind him as he signed the papers, and offer silent, non-judgmental presence. Another person hired Shoji to stand at the finish line of the Tokyo Marathon. The runner had no family or friends to support him. He told Shoji, "I've trained for months, but I have no one. When I cross that line, just stand there, look me in the eye, and clap for me." The requests grew wilder and more emotional by the day. A young woman rented Shoji to go to an amusement park and ride the Ferris wheel because her husband worked non-stop, and she had no friends. Another person hired him to go to a public park and swing on the swings in complete silence. One woman even rented Shoji to walk down the street with her, so she could wear a bold outfit she had been terrified to wear for years. Having a neutral companion beside her gave her the courage she needed. To keep the core concept pure, Shoji enforced strict rules. No physical labor. If a client asked him to carry a heavy box, Shoji said, "No, I don't do physical work." No romantic intimacy. He strictly avoided personal or improper interactions. No advice or opinions. If a client poured their heart out and asked, "Do you think I should forgive my ex?" Shoji simply replied, "I don't know. I don't really have an opinion." Over time, this stupid idea evolved into a global movement. What started as asking for train fare turned into a high-demand service where Shoji charged a fixed hourly rate, $100 per session. He took 4 to 6 appointments a day. From morning to night, he rode Tokyo's trains, sitting beside strangers, listening quietly, or walking in silence. Over a few short years, he completed over 4,000 real appointments. So what was the secret behind this absurd success? Why were people paying millions of yen for nothing? Shoji had tapped directly into the deepest, most painful wound of modern society: extreme loneliness and the crippling fear of being judged. In today's world, when you talk to friends, family, or coworkers, they constantly evaluate you, offer unsolicited advice, or expect something in return. But Shoji was a harmless presence. He was a living human being beside you who expected nothing, wore no mask, passed no judgment, and required no fake social performance. The very idea everyone laughed at turned Shoji Morimoto into an international icon. Global media giants like the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the BBC made documentaries about him. He published a best-selling book that swept across Asia, and a major TV network produced a drama series based on his life. Shoji Morimoto proved to the entire world that in a society obsessed with being somebody and doing great things, true value and fortune can come from simply being there. With the most absurd and useless premise imaginable, he didn't just get rich, he permanently redefined the word job in human history.